Hello, I'm Alistair from Sligo Rugby, and today I am here with Callum Goddard. You're from Christchurch, New Zealand. How the hell did you end up in the west of Ireland?
How did I end up here? Well, sort of when I finished school, I didn't go straight to college or anything like a lot of my friends would have, and I sort of just I started playing rugby and working, feeling like like all my friends are going off having fun, and then sort of got the opportunity through my club back in New Zealand. The guy who was like the coordinator there, he's played in Sligo before, so he sort of recommended it to me, and I entertained the idea, but I didn't think I'd actually get on the plane, until it was too late, and I was on the plane, and here we are.
So, what was your impression when you got here of Sligo?
My impression, well, obviously it's very different, like culture-wise, and that I don't think I knew much about Ireland at all until I got here. So, it was thing that took me first was how friendly everyone was. Like, I know maybe they're just being extra nice because I'm trying to make me feel welcome. I'm only a young 18-year-old lad, but no, the fact that everyone had like 100 questions for me straight away, even they don't even know me, and it just felt like made you feel at home like, almost straight away.
Were you coming from the big city, or were you coming from like Sligo's pretty rural, right? It's a small
Yeah.
town.
Well, I would have gone to school in the city, and like the year before I moved here, I would have lived in the city. But before that, no, my whole childhood is I'm from like a real rural community, like even smaller, like way smaller than Sligo. Sligo would look like a city compared to where I'm from. So yeah, I'm used to that sort of slow pace environment, the laid backness, of the rural community.
Cool. Well, I think that you fit right in here. So,
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
when you came over here first, who took you under the wing?
A few lads did actually. Like, I was only 18, and even like the likes of Shane Boyle, Ross O'Boyle, Simon Coulter, a few of the older heads now, but straight away I had them, and Mark Rooney as well was one of them. And they were like texting me like my first day in here, like getting me out, taking me out to Strand Hill and they're showing me around. And I was only a young fella, and I thought I was so cool having all these friends that are like way older than me.
Let's talk about the rugby for a minute. So, this weekend you're going to be playing against Malahide. And Malahide actually are on exactly the same points and point difference in the league, so that's kind of an interesting one. Give us a matchup. We've had a pretty good record so far this season. A tough day out up in Belfast, but otherwise it's been a pretty good season so far. How are you feeling about the game?
Malahide. So played against Malahide a good few times now, and every time it's a good game. I think they don't really travel well. We do seem to get better results against them at home, but some of like I remember one year we had to play them. I think they were playing to stay in the top four, and we were playing to take first place the year we got promoted. And I remember that being one of the craziest games of rugby I've ever been a part of. So regardless of how we're doing or how Malahide's doing, it's always going to be a good game regardless. I think we sort of play similar styles, not just straight bash up rugby. They sort of try to play a bit as well, which, can either suit either of us or it can suit the other team. So anything could happen, but, we have a lot to prove after the last couple of weeks. So we're hitting it head first.
Why do you feel you've got a lot to prove?
Two losses, two losses on the bounce. We need to start, getting those points before the whole league runs away with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Can do. Especially
And
at home. We can't afford to be losing home games a lot of the time.
yeah, I feel like this team typically punches above its weight for
Yeah.
where we are. That's looking on as somebody's a blow in. So it's interesting to see that. Okay, so this weekend you make 100 AIL caps, right?
It was 100 last week, so it'll be 101 this week.
Sorry, this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Um,
we'll count this one as 100 because it's at home, and hopefully we get the win.
yeah, and you get a better celebration maybe
I
than
think
last
last
week.
week didn't happen.
You're only the third player in club history to make 100 AIL caps. Do
Yes.
you know who the other two are?
Enda Gavin and Ryan Feely, I believe.
Ah, very good.
I believe.
So somebody's told you that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good interview prep. So yeah, like how do you feel about that?
I think once a few more people start to hit the mark, it'll, seem like more of an achievement. I don't know. I didn't really think about it too much until it happened. It wasn't until like all the fuss was made about it until I started getting all these messages from everyone congratulating me and stuff that I was like, it actually is a big deal. And then like I reflect on how long I've been here. It's 7.5 years now. So, once I sort of take a step back and have a look at it, it is pretty big accomplishment. It's not many people do that, and especially for someone from New Zealand to get 100 AIL caps, I'm sure it hasn't happened very often for any club.
Oh, I think it's massive, and I think it's I don't have the stats to hand, but I think that's an achievement across all AIL divisions. That's pretty cool. Okay, so I want to ask you a little bit about ATU because I know that you're doing, is it quantity surveying?
Yeah.
Can you tell me a bit about your experience of ATU and how you're finding the course?
Oh, yeah, I thought it was really good. Like, I never actually thought I'd be the type of person to go to college. Once I left school, I kind of enjoyed working. I always still do enjoy working. So I kind of got the opportunity to go and to study something that I had always had an interest in. So obviously I had to take that, and I don't know. I feel like if I'd gone to a lot of colleges, just the way I learn and stuff, I probably wouldn't have been able to stick it out. But at ATU, I found, well, I'm not sure if it's the whole college, but I can only speak for my course. But, my course was quite small, and all of my lecturers were all very good. Like, they would all know us by our first name. They would be, if you weren't showing up to class, they would let you know about it. It was almost more like school in that way. But I think that's what helped me get good grades and do well and stick at it. It was, the fact that everyone seemed to care almost more than I did sometimes,
Yeah, I went to, well, it is the ATU now, so I went to the ATU in Castlebar and in Galway, and I kind of felt the same. You're not in a big lecture hall where nobody
Yeah,
knows you. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
And would you recommend the ATU to people?
I would, of course, if that's what you're into, absolutely. Like, I think a lot more people from Sligo are hanging around to go to it now that it's become a university. Like, it was only Sligo IT when I joined, but then it was the ATU by the end of it. And yeah, that's such an opportunity. I think if you're thinking about it, like, you may as well.
Yeah, cool. So let me ask you about the rugby again. Is there anything that really stands out as like your most memorable moments in a Sligo jersey?
Oh, many, many memorable moments. Geez, so many. Like, that's the thing. Like, coming from the clubs and some of the teams I played for before, like, winning's almost expected. It's when you lose is when it hurts. But for Sligo, like, don't know what it is, but every little win, no matter who it's against, just feels that wee bit more special. I think because we kind of do have everything against us. Everyone kind of looks down on us, and we barely get to train twice a week, and all those things compound to, like, and you get the win, no matter how big or small it is it it feels great. But obviously, when we first won the senior league, that was a big one. Or the senior cup, I think we won first. The club hadn't won it in like 100 and something years, so that was very special to be a part of. Along with that, getting promoted in the AIL a few years ago, or good 5 years ago now, that was special as well. Just with the lads that were there, I think there's only 3 or 4 of us left on the team still. But then, other than that, like, we've won anytime you get to win anything, it's just a great feeling. Along with just any win on a Saturday, like, winning is just great.
So what are your goals personally and with the team for the rest of the season?
Well, I think we've probably, even it doesn't look like it now, but we've started the season better than we would have probably any season since I've been here. So I think that's exciting. That's, you got to look at your squad and be looking to push then. There's a few good teams in our league, don't get me wrong, but like, played enough AIL rugby now to know that that's not the be all and end all at this end of the season. Like, we've been down in like 10th place, 9th place before around Christmas time, and we've still managed to turn it around and make playoffs. And once you make playoffs, anything can happen. But I think goals wise, we have to be pushing. We have to be pushing to get promoted like we do every year. I think there's only been one season since I've been here where we haven't finished in the top four. And like I think a few lads on the team now are a part of that. And we sort of use that as to draw a line in the sand and be like, we don't want to be in a situation like that again. Because it's not, like, you're just playing the last few games just for the sake of it, just to try and avoid. You like, we weren't even avoiding relegation or promotion. You're just there playing for no reason, and it's not rewarding, especially towards the end of the season where it's a long old season and you're just showing up for the sake of it. It's we can show up. We're our own worst enemies is our problem. Like how we play, how the result ends up is how we play at the end. It takes a very good team to be able to, keep us out of the game altogether. If we show up and play our best, we're pretty confident we'll get a good result.
Yeah.
That's been the case with us,
What's the best thing about your coach?
He's a bloody good coach anyway. A good guy, a good coach, and like he'll be one of the most respected men around Sligo as a whole, to be honest. So I think people feel that respect straight away for him as well, and it makes all the difference because it is a big commitment, showing up week in, week out. But it makes a big difference when there's someone there that you actually feel like you're gaining something each training. You actually feel like you're learning. You feel like there's a possibility to achieve something under someone like that, And that's both our coaches, by the way, not just
Paddy.
Yeah, not just Paddy. Yeah.
I've
been blessed with coaches.
Well, I won't make your life difficult. I won't ask you about the worst thing about Paddy. I'll ask you about your teammates instead. So I have some rapid fire question for you. Okay, so just answer off the top of your head. Who has the worst fashion sense?
Worst fashion? At the moment, probably myself.
Oh, the honesty.
Everyone's always making fun of me for what I'm wearing, so I have to go for myself.
Yeah. All right. Who is the best housemate?
Martino. I had to move out with him recently, but Martino.
Yeah. And who's the worst? Who's the worst housemate?
Who's the worst? Jake Sexton.
Why?
Jake Sexton. He knows why.
Where's your favorite pitch to play on in Ireland?
Hamilton Park has to be. Like I was actually reading a book the other day, and it's the most like something about rugby grounds, picturesque rugby grounds or something, and it has all like famous grounds from around the world, and Sligo actually features in it. Sligo and Donegal Town, and to see what they're being compared to, like it's insane. And they're right, it's picturesque, it's beautiful.
And what about favorite away pitch to go to or favorite away team to go to?
Oh, I think Greystones. Greystones is a lovely pitch, even though they give us a good thumping up there. I think, consistently, it's still, you can't deny it's a lovely pitch to play on, very wide and good clubhouse.
What about takeout in Sligo? What's your favorite takeout?
It changes. I think Roberto's is pretty consistent. Roberto's, you can't go wrong with the Roberto's, but I also like there's a used cuisine outside the Mace there. Don't get it often, but it's good.
And what about best place for a pint of Guinness?
It's gonna have to say Connolly's.
Yeah.
It's
just consistently up there, right?
Yeah.
And is Guinness your pint of choice?
It would be, yeah, if I was going for a pint. Yeah. Only in Ireland now, obviously.
What would you have at home?
At home, Spates.
Aye. Is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to?
Shout out to a few people. I suppose the whole Magic Bus and the Alakadoos, first of all, the support they bring week in, week out is actually incredible. I don't think I'll ever be able to experience that for any club ever again. So thank you to all of them and my friends, everyone's that I've met here, and my family obviously back home for not hassling me to come home too much, I say. But they've been great with the whole situation. They're understanding, they're proud of what I'm doing and that, which makes it easier to be away for so long. But then other than that, just everyone I've met along the way, like, everyone I've met here, I'm not just friends with them, I'm friends with their whole family as well. So there's a lot of people that have done a lot of things for me, and they know who they are, and just want them to know I'm very appreciative for everyone along the way.
Oh, well, Cal Goddard, you are a try scoring machine. So best of luck this weekend. I hope you go out for your 101st AIL cap.
Yeah.
And go out and beat Malahide for us.
We'll do our best now. Hopefully get on the score sheet.